games come thick and fast for Blackburn Rovers at the minute, and of course this week focus switches to the Cup, the Carabao Cup. Can we extend our run in the competition, or will we crash out? We'll take a little look at it. That's right, folks. Blackburn's giving another match preview. Look forward to Blackburn Rovers match up against Cardiff City in the Carabao Cup. Of course, that's coming at you tomorrow, of course. And yeah, big week ahead for Rovers. Double match week, double home days. But of course, it all starts with Cardiff tomorrow. We'll get into it in a second. Of course, if you're new, where you been? Smash your subscribe button back to all things Rovers related, Carabao Cup related, world football related. We got it all here, boys. Under Warruski. That's right, Rovers on a bit of on the ropes at the minute after successive defeats against Sunderland and Ipswich, but can a bit of a change of scenery turn things around? Of course, we'll have a look at it, all of it in a second. Of course, big shout out to the VIPs. They are the patrons, of course. But anyway, let's get into it. Of course, not long till kickoff on this one, around about 24 hours or so. So let's get into it then. It is, of course, Cardiff City, who are not what we think they are. Of course, I expected them to be struggling, but of course they're flying high in the championship. But of course, we are talking about a different competition here. We're talking about the Carabao Cup. So Rovers, with a JDT, this is mainly aimed at those Cardiff City fans. Of course, JDT is our manager, aka John Dahl Thomason for you. His record against Cardiff is okay, 50-50, 1-1 and lost one. But he just picked up a 1.64 points per match ratio over the course of his tenure. In fact, that's his record as a coach. That's, of course, here. That's at Malmo. That's wherever he's been. Of course, Tyrese Dolan is the most valuable player, 8 million euros, according to transfermarkt.com. We have 28 players on the books, 22.9 average rating with 9 foreigners and just 1 national team player. These are the players, and of course, we are expecting a bit of a reshuffle in the starting lineup for Rovers. We've got Walstadt expected to be number 1 for this game and possibly beyond. We'll see how he gets on. And then, of course, we'd like to maybe James Hill, Loney, Patrick Gamble there, of course, I think he's featured in the previous rounds, and there might even be some other names that are not on this list that do feature. Of course, as we push into midfield, the likes of Sigurdsson might get some more minutes. Of course, he scored. It is a brief showing on the game on the weekend. Televic also might get the nod. Not too sure. I think now Ennis is edging closer. He may or may not be available for this one, so we'll see. And of course, maybe some other players who have featured previous couple of rounds may also get cameos in this one. One player that will not be there is Ryan Hedges, who's just been confirmed, hot off the press, out for 3 months. Gallagher also on the old treatment table as Rovers. Injuries to the key players, to the veterans of the squad even, mounting up considerably and not at the right time, of course. Let's take a look back at, of course, the previous campaigns. Our top goal scorer, no longer here, of course. He's playing at Hillsborough. Sheffield Wednesday. That's John Buckley. Previously got 3 goals in the first 2 games, but Garrett's got a couple, Gillisan as well. Gallagher blocks from Ennis, Edmonton and Mackenday. A few of those should feature. Of course, these are the star men again. Hedges, he had multiple assists in his couple of games in the previous rounds. Buckley as well. Gallagher, Garrett, Gilsan, blocks from Moran, Ennis, Tronstad and Edmonton again. No major first team players predominantly or in this handful of players there, so we are likely to see, I think, a few fringe or a few first team regulars feature in this upcoming game against Cardiff, because it's a considerable step up in regards to opposition. The previous 2 rounds were both League 2 opposition, so we're now going against it. Of course, take a look at our stats then for this tournament, and this tournament alone. We've got an average of 7.37 per player for the Rovers team so far in this tournament. We played 2 matches, scored 12 goals, averaging 6 goals a game. We like to see it. And just the 3 goals conceded, that was in the 4-3 win over Walsall. And of course, we've had 1 penalty, 1 free kick goal, hit the woodwork. We've not hit the woodwork so far. That's good. No red cards either. We have an average possession rate of 72, which is incredible, and 1 clean sheet thus far. Of course, those are the stats, those are the figures. What about the recent form? Then Rovers' form is a bit shitty. Of course, as you can look at it, back-to-back defeats, back-to-back games there. We've conceded 7 goals combined over the last 2 games. Stretching back, though, we did pick up a win over Middlesbrough. And, of course, before that, we did have the 8-0 win against Harrogate, which, of course, was our last round in the Cup. But the recent form is not good. Just 1 win in 3. And they're all in the league, of course. Not great indeed. And looking forward, it doesn't get much better for Rovers. We've got Leicester City on the horizon there. It's on Sunday, the 1st of October. Then a tricky away day against Coventry. Then QPR, goodness gracious me. And then Cardiff again. And then Millwall. So a bunch of games where it does start to look a bit ropey. If we can get something, I don't know, we're not talking about the league right now, but if we can get 3 points between the two games, Leicester, like a couple of draws maybe, or a win over on one of them, then maybe we can groove forward against QPR, and then of course back against Cardiff as well. But what about the starting lineup then? Well, it's going to be all changes then for Rovers, we expect. I've got Walsh up between the sticks. He's calm. He's been waiting his time, biding his time patiently. I do think the clangers on the weekend may have cost Pears the number 1 jersey moving forward. It's of course Walsh that's opportunity now to take it and go with it. Of course, we've only seen him in the Harrogate game, so a lot of hope and dreams are resting on his shoulders right now. Batty could come in at left back. We've got Scotty Wharton, we've got James Hill. I think they're both similar kind of players, so I'm not too sure if both will play, but at least one of them will play. And then, of course, Ranky Costello on the right-hand side. Then we have Garrett, who scored a couple of goals, Moran as well, and Tronstadt. We've got Sigerson on the left-hand side, maybe Tyree Stone, or Mackenday on the right, and Televet should get a start. Got to get a start, whether it's for 45 minutes or not. It's the time to experiment, and of course the time is now. What about our opposition then? It is Cardiff, of course, and like I said, they're a bit of a surprise package right now, flying high above us in the table. Well, that's not hard. But Errol Bullet, 1.59 points per match. He is of course a Turkish manager, and he's coming here and he's starting to wave his magic wand a little bit. Of course, we've got Manos Saposis, who's the most expensive player on the books. Is a big defensive midfielder. Their values are around about 5.5 million. They've got 28 players on the books, 15 foreigners, 25.9 is the average age with 7 national team players. Let's take a look then, of course, at those players. We've got Runarsson, of course, Icelandic, so we know Sigurdsson, they're probably besties on whatever, some Icelandic social media. But then got Jack Alnick, of course. We do expect the Icelander to start, of course, rotating it up a little bit. And then, of course, you've got the likes of Mark McGuinness, Perry NG. We've got the likes of Gutas, who's been phenomenal at the back. But again, a lot of players may get rested. Depends on how seriously they're going to take this one, because the games are coming thick and fast for both Cardiff and Rovers with a double match week. So we do expect to see some rotation. The likes of Ramsey may also take a rest. Bowler, I'm not too sure where he's at the minute. He hasn't been featuring in the last few games. He's not starting anyway. And then, of course, we've got the likes of O'Dowda, familiar face. He might get a look in. But I'm expecting maybe Remanotta in there, Romain Sawyers, of course. And then up top, you've got the likes of Callum Robinson, familiar foe with us, former North Ender. And then Ollie Tanner, of course, Ugbo, Maite, Ete. Could be amongst the many, the plethora of goal scorers they have at the minute. Let's take a look then at the goal scorers for the Cup so far this season for Cardiff. Colwell's got a couple of goals, Ite's got 2, and Wintle has well. As for the big boss man, or the main men, it's actually been Ruben Colwell with an 8.3. Jack Alnick and Runar Ranason have swapped the goalkeeping jerseys in the previous encounter, so we may or may not see Runason get the nod. Chevy Ojo as well in there, of course. Kieran Evans, again, it is a completely different side to that, or completely different players that are listed here than the regulars for the Championship, who are doing so well right now. Take a look at the stats. They're 7.16 average for Cardiff at the minute, scoring 5 goals in the 2 matches. They have conceded 3, same amount of goals as we have. They're averaging around about 2.5 goals a game, and of course hit the woodwork just the once, of course, from those 2 matches. 65.5% possession at the minute. No red cards, clean sheets 0 at the minute as well. Let's take a look at the form for Cardiff heading into this, of course, coming into this on the back of a big win at the Stadium, like 1-0 win. That's not easy. Of course, 1-0 win for them. They beat Coventry City 3-2. They beat Swansea City. Of course, so 3 wins on the bounce. So they're in red hot form and scoring goals as well. Their last defeat was the same defeat as us. Ipswich Town 3-2 loss there in another nail-biting encounter at Portman Road. Prior to that, big 3-1 win over Birmingham City. All right then, folks, let's take a look at what's going on ahead after this match, of course, for Cardiff City. They're going to take on Rotherham United over in Wales. Then, of course, it is Middlesbrough waiting for them next week, and then it's Watford at home. Then the international break comes, and guess what? We do it all again. We do it all again at Ewood Park. Rovers hosting Cardiff City, and then Huddersfield Town against Cardiff City. There may or may not be another game in amongst all that, and like the same goes for Rovers. It depends who wins, and of course when the next round of games in this competition are. So we'll see about that. What about the starting lineup then for Cardiff? And again, I've mixed it up a little bit here. So we've got Runarsson between the sticks. 6. Collins at left back, Perry Ng. We've got Adams there. We've got Romero at right back, Wintle, Sawyers, and Rimanota. Ite on the left. We've got Coburn on the right, and Grant. Of course, if you're a Cardiff fan, let me know how good or bad that team looks and how likely it will feature this coming Wednesday. Of course, let's take a look at the recent encounters between the two sides. Of course, the recent 6, the last 6, both home and away, have been good for Rovers. 3 wins, 2 draws, and just the 1 defeat. That last defeat was in Wales. It was back last season, October 2022, around about this time last season, give or take. It was a 1-0 win for Cardiff. Goodness gracious me. Of course, they did play each other on New Year's Day at Ewood. It was a 1-0 win. Guess what? Bradley Dacarino on the score sheet. Of course, but if you look at the last 6 at Ewood Park, it's pretty good for Rovers. Unbeaten in the last 6. However, there have been a lot of draws. So we come into 6 unbeaten back-to-back wins at Ewood Park. But no Dak, no Gallagher, no Diaz. Dolan might be in the mix, of course. So he is the one contender that may be able to feature. Of course, take a look then at the recent events for both Cardiff and Rovers. Of course, our journey to this stage in the Cup. Rovers, of course, opened up with a win over Walsall, 7-goal thriller, 4-3 in the end. There was an 8-goal thriller for us in the second round against Harrogate Town. Meanwhile, Cardiff pushed a little bit. This one, a 2-2 draw with Colchester, 3-0 win on the penalties to go through, and then of course a 3-1 win over Birmingham at St Andrews. Of course, both of those 2 games involved a red card for the opposition. Hopefully that's not something that's going to happen this time around. As for Rovers' form at home, it's not a fortress at the minute. 2 defeats the last 5 for Rovers at Ewood Park. Meanwhile, Cardiff have picked up a couple of wins at the last 3 on the road for them, beating Sunderland, beating Birmingham, of course, and a loss to a very narrow loss to Ipswich in the league as well. Take a look at the squads then. Of course, the squad values quite similar, but kind of just edgy, about £3 million difference or €3 million difference. They've got a better E-value as well. They've got an older squad, 26.6 compared to 23.7. More national team players, more foreigners, but we have more young national team players. And of course, our form is hideous at the moment. 3 defeats the last 4 up against Cardiff's form, who's pretty spectacular. 3 wins on the bloody bounce. Of course, to take a look at the grand scheme of things, we did take a look at the last 6. Both home and away, and also the last 6 at Ewood Park. But the last 19 since 2005 have gone in favour of Cardiff. 6 wins to our 5, 8 draws, of course. They've scored 25 goals compared to about 22. We've got a big 5-1 win was our biggest victory. Theirs is a 3-0 win. We pick up an average of 1.16 goals a game against Cardiff. They pick up a 1.32 average goals against us. And like I said, 83% for form for them right now. That's 5 wins the last 6. Rovers on 50% form, 1-3 and lost 3. So it's not great form for Rovers heading into it. And the bookies, though, go with Rovers 20-19 on for the victory here. 13-5 is draw, and 11-4 is your away win. That's of course Cardiff. Of course, the games do start today. That is of course Tuesday, the 26th of September, and we've got Salford against Burnley. Come on, Salford. Then we've got Exeter City against Luton Town. We've also got Ipswich against Wolves, Mansfield Town against Peterborough, Bradford City against Middlesbrough, Port Vale against Sutton United, and Manchester United against Crystal Palace. Tomorrow we'll have Liverpool up against Leicester, Rovers' next opponents in the league. Of course, Lincoln City against West Ham, Chelsea against Brighton, Bournemouth against Stoke, Brentford against Arsenal, Aston Villa against Everton, Fulham against Norwich, and Newcastle against City. What a zing-zong that is. But of course, the game of the day will be at Ewood Park, and it'll be Rovers against Cardiff. Now, a bit of a sideway here. We usually have watch-alongs and things like that, but of course the game is not being screened anywhere. So we will have a weird gameplay if you want to watch. Of course, come hang out. I might be on the chat, popping in every now and again just to let you know how things are going. But again, there'll be no coverage whatsoever. I cannot find the game, and I cannot get. I don't think Pete will be available anyway, such short notice if we do find the game. But if you know that they are streaming it, let me know somewhere. Then of course I'll pull all stops and get Pete hopefully on it. But I don't think it's going to happen. Anyway, let's kick it off forward. Let's take a look at the top goal scorers. Of course, it's the man from Reading. You have a go at that name. I'm not even going to have a bother. Buckley's up there in second spot, though. 3 goals to his name. He won't be able to add to it, unfortunately, because Wednesday are out the cup and we don't have him in the minute. So Amata up there. Matete with Crystal Palace. Wayne as well with Plymouth. Ndidi, Strook, McCree, Chislett, Beasley, and Laurent. Of course, key assist maker Saliba for Wolves. Fevrier, Barcelar, Berry, and Quintimra, of course, amongst them as well. But what about me? What about score prediction for this one? I've got to back my boys, despite the fact it could be a rotated squad. I'm going to give Rovers the benefit of the doubt. 2-1 win. I think Sigurdsson will play. I think there will be some experienced players that are just getting back to fitness. That could be the difference between us and victory. And maybe, just maybe, Cardiff will not be as gung-ho or as and go for it. I don't think they'll if they play their top team, I think we may struggle with a minute because mentally we're not in it right now. We've had a bit of a rough couple of days. But that, my friends, that is my take. 2-1 win for Rovers. Of course, again, the gameplay. We may have a vlog. I think Denver said he may make the match on that one. So we'll find out about that. Hopefully some post-match thoughts as well. And then we preview, of course, for the Leicester City game, of course, on Sunday. And that'll be live on Sky Sports and beyond. But until then, that's then. Right now it's Cardiff. Until then, that's all our focus. Let's focus on that one. And of course, we'll look forward to the next one. Until then, we're done.